Welcome to my podcast, Today's Dream, Tomorrow's Reality. My name is Vicki Poole. I'm a life coach, health coach, and hypnotist at the Enlightened Peach. And this podcast is all about embracing our mosaic life. And some of you may ask, what is a mosaic life? Well, it's recognizing that all the pieces of our life, the good, the bad, the indifferent, have all come together to make us who we are. Change any one thing and we are different. With that in mind, I invite you to embrace your perceived imperfections and celebrate who you are. This podcast is unedited and raw, just like life. And I'll be your host, and we'll have special guests from time to time. As a matter of fact, I have a wonderful guest for you tonight. I think you're going to be excited. If you have any ahas or questions, please leave a comment or a voice message. So now let's get started. So this gentleman right here is George Dubec, correct? Did I say it correctly?
Dubec.
Okay. So he is he's in Florida, and he was actually referred to me by another person that was on my podcast, Sherry Kaplan. So if you have not seen her interview, please go back and look at that because she's great. But there's so much about George that is really cool, from how he looks at life and the goals and everything that he has for his life now, because he's retired, kind of. And you're in Florida. So tell us a little bit about, I know you told me you were retired, and you just kind of, once you retired, you changed a lot of the projections of where your life was going.
Well, not only that, but just what's happening in the world around me has completely changed me. I've been around a long time. My view of life, my way of operating has completely been affected by high technology, and it's changed my brain. And I'm nowhere near the person that I was 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago. Every decade, I noticed, has been pretty much major shifting in what's going on in my brain. And one of the things that I'm really, really starting to review heavily and research is how to operate your brain.
Okay.
And I realize now at 76 years old, I really don't know how to operate my brain. It's kind of like somebody putting you in a plane with a pilot, and the pilot collapses or goes to sleep, and you're up there, and like you really haven't had any training of sort, and you're flying this plane. And you can kind of figure some things out. You know, you can maybe pull the handle back and you go up, and you push it forward, you go down. But you know, that's the way I'm kind of viewing things. And I'm going, you know, most of my life, I've just been operating by the seat of my pants in a way. You know, you learn some disciplines and some skills and training, but now with this new world, is like we're being disrupted constantly, bombarded with information, new ideas, old programming, new programming. And it's causing, I call it chaos in your brain. It's hard to focus. I'm finding people have a hard time really understanding what's good, what's bad, what's credible, what isn't. And then we have in the world today, we have all this corruption, these liars, gaslighters, all the people of higher authority are all now breaking down. The people we used to revere and we used to look up to, it seems like they're all going away. We don't have any real leaders anymore. And it's stressful. And even in the families, you know, where the family used to have the father was the dominant leader of the family. Now families are with divorce and separation and all kind of things. I mean, families are all disjointed. And I can see where the stress and anxiety and the psychological problems that people are having today is all caused by all of this stuff.
Right.
And so I'm trying to sort it out for myself and get myself on track and stop having all these distractions and disruptions, and, you know, learning how to operate my brain more effectively in today's world. So that's kind of where I'm at.
So is that something that is maybe like, I know one of the things that they say that helps to keep people from getting Alzheimer's or senile or that kind of thing, is exercising the brain in different ways. Is that the kind of thing you're talking about? Being able to
Well,
utilize
that
your brain in that way?
well, that also, right, keeping your brain active. I
Hmm.
find so many people, in fact, to me, I don't like the phrase retirement. If you
Hmm.
notice on television, all the commercials about financial planning show these people that had done well, and they invested wisely, and now they're retired, and they're on some kind of a cruise ship, or they're sitting at the beach and drinking, Mai Tais and looking at, and I'm going, oh my goodness, that's like a death knell to wind up doing nothing, just coasting around, waking up every day whenever you want, doing really nothing, eating, sleeping, getting up the next day. And I mean, to me, that's a precursor to
Death.
really death. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dementia, old age,
Yeah.
dementia, losing your energy, losing your enthusiasm. You got to have that mojo. The mojo is what drives you, what gives you excitement, energy, being productive, doing something, having goals, you
Right.
know?
There's so
So,
many people this day and time that I see that all they seem, well, all I can't say is that, but a lot of people, it's like they go, they work their job, whether it's 9 to 5 or whatever the hours are. They come home, they vegetate in front of the TV, and then the weekends is going out and doing things. And it's like the amount of people that are actually reading and learning and everything feels to me, from a lot of the things I see, that it's like that's become the uncommon thing.
well, definitely. One of my favorite characters is a gentleman down here in South Florida named Jordan Zimmerman. He has Zimmerman Advertising, the largest marketing advertising firm in the Southeast. He's got all the major car dealers, but his favorite phrase is, I'll sleep when I die. And the guy's like a powerhouse. I mean, he works out, he runs this huge operation, probably 3, 4, 500 people work for him. And he's got his own building down here. And that's his mantra. He just doesn't sleep. He doesn't, I don't know what, he's like a ball of energy,
Hmm.
and I admire that. I like that.
Yeah.
Um,
Now
and
you were
so
you
that,
if I'm remembering correctly, you were pretty successful before you got to this stage of your life. So you had a business of your own, and when you decided that that wasn't where you wanted to be anymore, that's when you kind of transitioned to this new era of your life. Am I remembering correctly?
yeah, I have the second largest podcasting radio streaming company in the US. It's called Cirrus Streaming. And my wife and partner run the company, but I retired from it in 2010, actually. I decided I didn't want to be an everyday. I was the senior VP of marketing and advertising. And I said, I don't want to go to a 9 to 5 job anymore. I want to do something even bigger and better. So, I mean, I'm set for life financially. I got a beautiful home in Boca. I got 3 kids, 4 grandkids, 2 great grandkids. And I said, now I want to do some exciting stuff. So in 2019, I never wrote anything in my life, but I wrote 6 books. And then now, well, the pandemic came right after that. So that was kind of a 2-year hiatus from doing anything of magnitude. We were all kind of under the table there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But now things have been released. And my big initiative is putting together a reality TV show called Ultimate Networking, showing people how to use networking in business and social to get anything and everything they want in life. And that's one of the business skills that's sort of underdeveloped. There's a lot of sales training, there's a lot of marketing, advertising training, but think about it. I mean, how much training is there on networking and
Yeah.
learning how to network properly? Not much.
Right, I agree. Yeah. Because I can say there's been many times, especially early on, when I would go to networking meetings. I mean, for one thing, I didn't feel like I could just approach anybody. But then when I did, it was like I was tongue-tied and I didn't know what to say. All I knew to do was hand a card, and then I would collect all these cards at the end of the day, and then I really didn't know what to do with them. And so it's definitely gotten better over the years. But I'd say when I first started with this kind of thing, it would have been great to have had some system or something that I could see how it's supposed to be done. And is that what you're talking is you'll have like a reality show where you'll have people that'll go to networking meetings, or how are you talking about working it, or do you even know yet?
Oh, no, no. What the idea is that we'll go to actual networking events where
Mm-hmm.
people are interacting. And then what we're going to do is we're going to have a video camera and we're going to watch people talking to each other. And then we're going to have cutaways and say, kind of in an educational way, explain what somebody did wrong, what they did right, how to introduce yourself to each other. So I call it edutainment. It's going to be fun, entertaining, but also educational at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to show through examples and actual, in-person meeting of each other, what's going on out there in the world, and then how to do it more effectively, how to
Okay.
operate at a networking event. And again, and one of my books is How to Become an Ultimate Networker in 5 Easy Steps. I got 5 basic things that most people don't do. I'd say probably 80% or more of the people that I see out at networking events, and I'm talking about even very successful business owners, top salesmen, they still don't really know how to effectively network, and they could be even better than they are if they only knew some basic principles.
So is that
And
something
then,
you'd want to share a little bit with our listeners, our
well,
watchers?
well, the the number one thing, I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a student in high school, college. I don't care if you just started a job at McDonald's, whatever. Everybody you meet every day, you should ask them for their contact information and then put them into a database and put them in categories as to how they relate to you at this point in time. Like if you're like my grandson just graduated from Purdue University, and I taught him when he first started, I said, every one of your teachers, get their contact information, put it into a database, because you never know, later on, a couple of years from now, you might want to refer back to one of those teachers and get some information, or just whatever, or kids you meet at school. Maybe later on, you'll say, you know what? I wish I could get a hold of that guy. I met him a couple of years ago at school, and now I don't have his information. So the number one most important thing is, I don't care who you are, is everybody you meet, in whatever reason, you should put them into a database and have all their contact info, their name, address, and email. And listen, Vicki, I even carry with me a plastic box. And listen to this. In my box, I have a clipboard with a sign-up form. And when I meet somebody at a networking event, I actually take it out of my box. I put it in front of them, and I make them fill out their contact information to show them how serious I am about getting to know them and building a relationship.
Hmm.
So think about how powerful that is versus, oh, hey, can I have your business card? And somebody gives me their business card. Now, what's going through their mind? They have no idea if I'm ever going to call them. They're going to say, I'm giving him my business card. I'll probably never hear from him again. But think about the difference when I pull out a clipboard and I say, listen, will you write down your information here so I have it? And then I put a note under it, like I'm going to call you next week or whatever. The power in that is just magnanimous. Just to do that one thing is amazing, how it'll change the way you operate at a networking event.
Yeah. Now I will say that I had a gentleman tell me one time that it was senseless to just take business cards and stick them in a box. So he said that while the person's still standing there and you've taken their card, he said, write something on the back about them so that you can remember. So do you have something that other than you said you just make a note underneath the person's name about who they are and where you met them, that kind of thing, or what are you putting on there?
Yeah, right. Well, that's a sign-up form. On the sign-up form, it has a place for your name, your email address, and your phone number. And then, if I want to put their business name or their business website or a note, like I'm going to call them next week, or they're interested in my books, or then you can have a little section there to put notes.
Mm-hmm.
So now when I get home after the event, I take my clipboard out, and those are the most important people that I'm going to interact with. So I have it right there in front of me. I don't have to search for cards, or maybe I left the cards in my car.
Yeah.
Or I might have lost the card. So it's a very powerful tool.
So can I ask you a question real quick? Well, go ahead
Sure.
and tell us that, and then I'll ask. if I remember.
Yeah. And then the other thing is that, okay, now in return, what I normally do for that person that I signed up their information, now they can sign up their information or you can sign it up for them. Either way, it doesn't matter. But as long as you get it on a clipboard, then I take my phone and I take a photo with me and them. And what I do when I get home is I text them the photo of me with them. And I say, great
Ah,
meeting you. I say, great to meet you. And then I have also what's called a virtual business card. It's called a V card.
mm-hmm.
And I have an address. So when I follow up with them, I send them a picture with me and them. I send them, something really nice, like great meeting you, or I can't wait to talk to you or whatever. And then I send them my V card, which they can open up and has all my contact information on it.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Well, one of the things I was going to ask is when you go, like, I just have to speak for myself, because sometimes when I go to a network meeting, even and especially if it's something big, it's like figuring out who is the person that I want to talk to. And so do you talk to every single person and have every single person fill out that? Or is there a way that you decide who you want to get their contact information from?
Okay, there's a couple of ways to handle this. Number one, if you're going to a networking event by yourself, okay,
Mm-hmm.
the first thing to do when you get there is find out the promoter. Who's running this event? Who's the host? Who's the promoter? I go up and introduce myself and say, look, I'm George Dubec. I'm the ultimate networker, and I'm looking for this. Who do you know here? And they know a majority of the people at their event, right?
Okay.
They have some standard people that come to all their events. And I say, look, this is what I'm looking for. Do you know anybody here tonight that you might be able to introduce me to that is looking for this or is able to provide me with this? So that's the first thing you do. You go to the head of the whole thing, introduce yourself, and see if they can help introduce you to the right people.
Okay.
So that's important. Okay, the second thing, if you go to an event and you already know somebody there, okay, let's say you come to the event and you see some people that you know. Then you go to them right away and you do the same thing. You say, hey, hi, Joe or Joan. Hey, look, I saw you're at this event also. Hey, listen, here's what I'm here to look for. And then you ask them if they know somebody at the event that is a good connection for you. So you're using other people already that you know or you got to know to help you, connect with the right people. Now, if you don't see anybody you know and you can't find the host or he doesn't know anybody, then you're kind of on your own. So then you have to basically just kind of, walk up and meet people in general. And what I normally do when I cold talk to somebody is I come up and I say, hey, are you here networking tonight? So I kind of find out, are they there just to have a drink or to get out of the office? Or I want to see, are they really seriously here to meet people?
Okay.
And that's a great question, because if they want to avoid you or they don't like you or they don't like the way you look or whatever, they'll say no, or they'll give you some innocuous answer.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're there to network also, then I introduce myself and I always ask them once, I say, I'm George Dubec, and they say they're whoever. I say, okay, well, you said you're here networking. What are you looking for? How can I help you? So I don't try to promote myself or ask them. I try to say, here, what can I do to help you? Or who are you looking for? Or what are you looking for? So those are great ways to interact with people that you don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say just from the times that we've talked and meeting you and everything, that you're pretty much an extrovert. So you are really good at putting yourself out there and talking to people. So what kind of advice would you give somebody who is more of an introvert that wants to go forward, but they just feel uncomfortable with it? Is there some kind of advice you can give them?
Well, it's all based on repetition and training. Okay.
Okay.
Now, you did mention I'm an extrovert. You're right. But okay, even somebody that's an extrovert, if you don't do it on a regular basis, you get kind of rusty or you get kind of lame.
Mhm.
Okay, so what I find out, number one, you got to network a lot. You got to do it a lot, because the more you do it, the better you get, no matter what. The second thing is to practice with, say, a friend or yourself or whatever. And also, it's great to go to events with a wingman,
Mhm.
somebody else that's networking. If you go together as a team, and then you guys go out and you start meeting people, and then if you find somebody of interest for your partner, you bring them over and make the introduction, a third party introduction. So
Okay.
that's another way to do it. But the key ingredient is that you simply have to do it a lot. You just have to keep doing it and practice walking up to people and introducing yourself. In fact, another good way to do it is what I call casual conversation, just out and about. Like, let's say you're in the grocery store line and you're talking to the cashier. They ring it out and you see something on the cashier you like, hey, I like your hairdo, or that's really, or you're really friendly today. How come you're so friendly? Or talk to somebody in line, somebody standing next to you in line. In other words, get in the habit of this casual conversation with strangers.
Mhm.
And if you do that every day, if you talk to people around you, like, for example, I went to my doctor today,
Mhm.
and this girl was at the front desk, and she was really nice and polite. I mean, usually they're very businesslike, and they're actually sometimes rude and crude, the receptionist and the people in the office. But she was like really nice and cheery. So when I came out of the doctor's office, I went up to her and I said, hey, I said, you know what? I said, that's amazing. I said, you're such a friendly person. I said, that's really nice. And why are you so happy? And she smiled, man. I mean, she just was glowing, because I recognized her. And basically, what was I doing? I was having casual conversation with somebody. I had no idea who they were. And it's just practice for me talking to strange people.
Right. Well, I'll be honest. I don't have a problem with talking to people. Like if I'm at the store, at the grocery store, and I can start a conversation with somebody walking down the aisle. I don't have a problem with that, but put me into that setting of this is the purpose of it. It just kind of like I go, I close up, and that's one of the things that I've really been working on, is being able to have conversations in that kind of setting. But for whatever reason, for me, that makes my palms sweat. I forget what I'm wanting to say.
Well, here's another thing, especially for females. I know it's more difficult for females because a lot of times, if a female goes up to a guy, sometimes the woman thinks that the guy's going to think she's hitting on him. There's all that sexual thing going on back and forth too. It's a little difficult, but a good thing for a woman or even a guy is to wear something that is really outstanding, something that's unusual. Okay, like one woman came to a networking event and she had light bulb earrings, and they lit up. Oh my God, everybody was going over and talking to her. So sometimes it's better to be the light bulb that attracts the fly instead of you going to them. Now, did you also ever see the name tags that are, in fact, I was going to look to see if they're still available, but they're name tags that are scrolling marquees. Have you ever seen those?
No, I have not.
Yeah, I got to find those because they used to have them out years ago, but since the pandemic, they've disappeared. But they're like a plastic name tag. Okay, you pin it onto your shirt or suit or whatever. And you know what a scrolling marquee is, right?
Yes.
So you can program the letters, like you can say ultimate networker. And as it's on your suit or shirt, it'll scroll across over and over again in red letters, ultimate networker, ultimate networker. Oh my God. You wear one of those out and everybody will come over and talk to you.
Oh, well,
where did you get
if
that?
you find that, you need to let me know.
Yeah, I'm going to look those up again because those are really cool. Now, another thing you can do is if you go to a place that has a name tag, don't put your name on it. Put something catchy. Okay, well, like I can use ultimate networker. That's a catchy phrase. People always say, what is that? What does that mean? If you sell widgets, put best widgets in the world on your name tag or something like that. Something that somebody can make a comment about. You know what I'm saying? A conversation piece.
Right. Well, my business name is the Enlightened Peach, so I could probably put the Enlightened Peach on there.
Oh my God, that's great. Okay,
Yeah.
that's catchy, it's cool, and people are going to ask you, what does that mean? You know, who are you? I mean, so that's great. A nice
Okay.
name tag with that. In fact, if you don't have name tags and you go to a business event, you could have one made up and have that printed on there, a real nice, you know, professional name tag,
Mm-hmm.
and just stick it on your blouse or your business suit or whatever. And that's
Okay.
another good trick.
Well, that's
Now,
cool.
now I take it to the nth degree. I have actually a plastic transparent box, okay, and I carry it around, and it's got a handle on it, and I have my name on the sides in different spots, and I carry this around. And you know what? Everybody says, "What is in that box?" They come over to me and they go, "What?" It's driving them crazy. What are you doing with that box? What's in that box? Oh my God. I mean, it's brilliant.
Yeah.
So things like that.
Now
Another thing,
I
like
will
for,
say I used to know this one lady that she always went to the network meetings, but she always wore red cowboy boots.
oh my God, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Or let's say even a really loud jacket, like a red, like say a red jacket with red shoes or something like that. I mean, anything that's like say a bright yellow jacket or something really loud, people are going to make comments, you know, something that's a conversation piece, whatever that could be. So that's really helpful for women. And again, with men, like sometimes, especially in South Florida, like guys will wear one of these jackets that has all kind of weird print on it, you know, like real flashy colors and all kinds of stunning print.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, those guys get a lot of attention. Even other guys will come over and go, "Oh, I like your jacket. Where'd you get that? That's really cool. It's different, you know?"
Yeah. So when thinking about the networking meetings and this reality show that you're going to do, so what is the end purpose? Do you think is to get a new client, a new friend? What is the real purpose of the networking?
Well, I mean, basically, if I get a reality TV show called Ultimate Networking, I'll sell 1,000,000 books. Everybody's going to buy my book because I thought about it. I thought, okay, I wrote these books and then I was going to go on tour and do the standard, you know, try to promote your book and get on radio shows and TV shows and do TED Talks and all that. And I go, oh my goodness, you know how much work that is and how much time it's going to take to get your book out there? So then I started thinking to myself, I said, you know what? Anybody who has a reality show, even if it flops, even if it's on for a year, and even if it's terrible, everybody becomes famous that's on a reality show. Did you know that?
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. I mean, like these, what are these adventure shows like Survivor and all that?
Mm-hmm.
Even people that are on the show they have a following of people. They become a personality. And they're
Right,
just like a guest on the show. They don't even do anything except they're there.
right.
And they might, and it's amazing. So if I had a show that even had 12 episodes, I'd probably sell 1,000,000 books.
Okay.
And that's one way to promote my book. And then of course the other thing is to have a show that has really good content and is entertaining and fun and educational, and to bring this whole idea of networking to the forefront.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
also, Vicky, just to share with you, everybody loves this story. Okay.
Okay.
You know, this is how I met my wife. Okay. I've been married 43 years, but this was before I even got into becoming the ultimate networker. This was back in 1978. I was the disco king. I had a 3-piece white shirt, black chains, 2-inch platform shoes, flared pants,
Oh, now I'd love to
smoking a
see a
Bandit
picture of that.
Firebird. Okay, I'll send you one. But I
Okay.
was a great disco dancer. In fact, if you watch the movie Saturday Night Fever, I lived the life of John Travolta in that movie. That was me. I mean, I
Okay.
could relate to that movie. It was incredible. Plenty of women, dancing, fun, entertainment, lots of dates. But I never could really find, like, I don't know, it was like a lot of girls I was dating, going out with them and having a lot of fun, but never really connecting with the right person. I go, well, how do you do that? And I found out nobody knows how to find an ideal mate. Still to this day, nobody really knows how to do it. So I was an engineer at the time, and I said, okay, I'm going to make a checklist of everything that I want in what I would call my life partner or my mate. And I wrote it out. I made copies, and I gave it to my 10 best male friends who were also single. And they were going out meeting lots of other single women, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I gave them the list, and I said, if you find some gal that meets this description, I want you to hook me up. 3 months later, my best friend at the time met my now wife at a party. He called me up the next day. He goes, oh my God, you got to meet this girl. So we were introduced, we met through him, and I gave her the second part of my equation, which was, I call my 20-question interview. So I interviewed her to see if she fit further with everything I was looking for. And she answered all the questions to my satisfaction. Man, that was it. We've been married. We got a beautiful daughter, granddaughter, been married 43 years. And that's how I teach people how to use your social network to find an ideal partner. And it works.
That makes sense.
And that's all you got to do. Give it to your family, your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers, and tell them, listen, if you know somebody like this person, why don't you hook me up? And the best way to meet somebody is through a third-party referral. Still to this day, that's the best way to meet somebody.
Okay. Whether it's a relationship or a business or whatever.
And that's the other thing too, is, okay, I teach the same concept in a way. If you're selling a product or a service or a business, everybody you talk to, every family member, friend, neighbor, and most people don't do this, okay? But when you're done at the conversation, whatever, religion, politics, or whatever you're talking about, the latest movie, say, hey, by the way, I sell widgets. And do you know anybody, one of your friends, family members, neighbors, or an associate that might be interested in widgets, looking for widgets? Could you give me just ask one referral? You don't have to ask for a whole list of people.
Mm-hmm.
Just, try to jar their mind. And if they say, yeah, I think my neighbor might be interested, you got to pin them down right there and get the name of that person. Say, okay, could you text it to me? And I'll call them on your behalf. I'll tell them that you referred me to talk to them. You don't even have to get involved. Just let me know who they are, as long as you're cool with it. And there you go. You just keep doing that to everybody you talk to. Ask for a referral, one referral from everybody. So that's another way you can use business networking and the referral system.
Yeah, very cool. So
now here's one other one, Vicki, that most people don't do this. Again, they're always looking for a new customer. Okay, let's say you're in business for a couple of years and you have some customers. You know that most businessmen will not go to their customer base and ask for referrals. And you know why that is? Because they're afraid to talk to their customer, like their customer might not be totally happy with their service and might come back on them or complain. They kind of already, the customer already paid for it, or they whatever. And so now they're somewhat psychologically worried. Oh my God, if I call this guy for a referral, I wonder if he's going to actually give me one, or he's going to, rake me over the coals because he really didn't like my product or service.
Yeah.
So again, that will force you to provide a really good product or service. If you do that, you should have an endless chain of referrals, right?
Right.
If you made all your customers happy, why wouldn't you be excited to ask them for a referral? You should be really jumping for joy that you're going to go talk to them. You gave them good products, good service, and now you're asking them to refer somebody else.
Right. Well, that's one of the things that I do with my clients is I reach out to them, and for one thing, I get a testimonial from them, and I also ask them for referrals. So I will say that there are times that I neglect that, but for my main part of the time, I do that because that's one of the things I have as just part of the process.
Right. And then also, here's another way to force yourself to be even better than you are. When you get a new customer, tell them up front, say, okay, look, you just paid me for whatever it is, coaching or consulting or whatever, say, listen, would you be open to, after we're done or at some point in time, would you be willing to give me a testimonial and a referral? Ask them up front. Set
Mm-hmm.
it up that almost like, I'm going to be so good, I'm going to provide you with such a good service that you're going to want to refer me to somebody.
That's perfect. Yes, definitely. Definitely.
So that's a win-win for everybody.
So is there anything that you want to add to this as far as something we may not have covered that you want people that are listening to this or watching this, that you want them to know that would benefit them in their lives?
Well, just the fact that, use your referral network to get anything you want. You can get a place to live. You can sell your home. Like, for example, the other day, I'm looking for a 1978 chocolate brown Trans Am, which I used to drive in my disco days. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I love that car. So I found somebody that does fixer-upper cars. So I put out to my network that I'm looking for a 78 Pontiac Trans Am that needs some work or needs rebuilding. So in other words, I got a database of, in just South Florida, about 4,000 people. So I set out to ask them to see if they could help me. I asked for all kinds of things from my database. I asked people for technical advice. I asked them to help some of my friends. Like, a lot of my friends are calling up looking for rental, some place to rent.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime I send out to my database, I say, hey, look, I have this person here that's looking for a rental, 2-bedroom, 1 bath at this price range. So I even help my other friends with my network to help them get what they want.
Perfect. Well,
So
go ahead.
yeah, so just first of all, create your database, build your network continuously, and use your network for anything that you want, anything that you desire. Ask your network to help you.
So it's looking at all of your connections as a way for you to get benefit and for them to get benefit from you too. And it's just not connections for just conversations. It's connections for life, right?
Well, in fact, you just brought up a good point. I learned one thing about life. Nobody has family and friends. Everybody has what I call connections. Everybody in your life is a connection of some sort. Some are strong connections, some are weak, but they're all connections. And if it's not working, what do you do with the connection that's not working? You unplug it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one that is working, you plug it in and you keep plugging it in and using it.
Right.
So this way, if you are always thinking about people, not emotionally, like, oh my goodness, what they said about me, or they didn't do what they promised or whatever, not a big deal. Just unplug them.
Yeah.
You're done with that. And then also, people call me that I'm a pessimist, and they say that I'm a negative person, because what I do is I expect the worst from everything and everybody. Okay, now doesn't that sound negative?
It does.
But actually, psychologically, it works beautiful, because when something happens that's good, it's like I got a gift. I go like, oh my goodness, this is fantastic. This person promised me something, they actually did it. It's somebody just gave me a gift. But what happens when somebody promises you something and they renege on it? You get all upset and emotional. Well, I'm already expecting they're not going to do it. And if they do, great. So there you go. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody, but it works for me.
It makes sense. It makes sense.
Anyway, yeah. So, well, life is a mind game. We got to play that game all day long with ourselves,
Mm-hmm. Yep. It definitely is. And, you were talking about doing things to strengthen your mind. And so I would say all of these different things that you've talked about, all of those things strengthen your mind in just different ways.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definite. So, by the way, just so that, like, people that are listening to this interview that I'm going to promote to other people to listen to your show, what else do you, I mean, are you looking for more guests? Are you looking for just more listeners to your show, or how can I help you?
I'd like to have more listeners to my show and more
Okay.
guests, but I only have a time to put in so many guests. But if I had too many, I could have a waiting list. But definitely a lot of listeners, sharers, because ultimately I want to be able to have more ability for people's voice to be out there. And so the more listeners there are, the more people can hear all these amazing stories that I share.
Okay, well then I'll make good with you if you want to send me a nice promotional email about you and your show,
Okay.
and then we could put a link to this show. I'll send it to my database and suggest that people tune in, not only to listen to the interview with me, but to listen to your show and why they should listen to your show. Just give me a nice little promotional message, and I'll promote it for you.
All right, wonderful. That would be fantastic. This it almost feels like my baby now because I just enjoy doing it so much that it's just I've wanted to do one for a very long time and just felt like it was too hard, too far out there and everything. But once I learned, it's very easy to get started and connect with people. And I guess in some ways that's networking as well, because I have met some of the most amazing people, and where I've been finding a lot of mine. Well, you were a referral, but some of the people I've just been on Facebook and saw somebody make a comment about something. I think, oh, they've got a story to tell. And I would reach out to them and then we would connect. So I guess I've just been doing my networking in a different way.
Okay, well, not only send me an email, okay, with a
Mhm.
good promotional message, but if you can do a 15 or 30-second video of yourself and text it to me,
Mhm.
again, telling a little bit about yourself and about your show and what you're looking for, I'll post it up on my social media, on my Facebook and my Instagram, with a little caption with your contact info. How's that?
That sounds perfect. Thank you.
There you go.
That would be
See?
amazing.
That's right. So I network with everybody.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, I know anybody that's watching or listening, they have got to have taken so many golden nuggets from what you've shared. Do you have a projected date of when you think you're going to be having your reality show?
Well, definitely it's going to be within this year.
Okay.
So yeah, we're shopping around the concept right now, and it's like anything else. You have to get a distribution network. It's probably not going to be broadcast TV because I'm not a known person, but it'll be through one of these other vehicles, and to get started,
Okay.
and we'll
Well,
see what
then,
happens.
well, what I would ask you to do is because this is recorded and I can go back at any time and add information. So when you have a link or however you're going to be sharing this, send me make sure you've got me on your database to send the information to, and I will add it to this actual recording so that as time goes on, people can actually just go straight to the description and get the link to your show.
Okay, that sounds great. All right, man. Well, it was really a pleasure being on your show, and like I said, whatever I can do to help you, let's I'll definitely promote it to the best of my abilities.
All right. Well, wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate you. And like I said, you've given so many nuggets that I know the next time I go to a networking meeting, I will go without my palms might still be sweating, but I'll at least know what I'm supposed to do.
Well, I'll give you the ability to set up. Do you have a virtual business card?
I do not.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll send it to you besides, but if anybody, you or anybody wants to get a virtual business card, you go to magic.vcardglobal.com. Okay. Magic.vcardglobal.com. And you can set up a free virtual business card with your photo, your logo, your contact information, and your website. And it's free. And you load the app on your phone. And when you go to a networking event, Vicki, what you do is you open up the QR code for your V card, so somebody can just simply scan it on their phone, and they'll get your contact information on their phone. How easy is that?
That's perfect. Yeah.
And it's free. It's free.
Yeah, that's even better. That's even better. I love free.
There you go. That's
right.
my final tip.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you so much for being my guest today. It took a turn that I wasn't even expecting, but it was wonderful. I appreciate it so much. So everybody that is watching or listening, please definitely, I will be sharing all of his contact information and be adding to it as things come around. So just check the comments and definitely connect and take all of the wonderful knowledge that he shared and utilize it, because that's the thing. Knowing is not doing. So you have to make sure that you actually utilize the information that he's given you. So with
exactly,
that,
that's a great message. Not only learning knowledge, but implementing that. That's key.
yes, definitely. So everybody, you have a fabulous day, evening, whatever it is where you are, and I will see you next time.